Menopausal and perimenopausal women, listen up. It's time to take control of your health and comfort, and Winona is here to help. Winona is a telemedicine company for menopause care who believes that your symptoms are real, important, and deserve to be taken seriously. And for many women, this starts with hormone replacement therapy. Winona's HRT is made with plant-based, bioidentical hormones rather than synthetic ones, so it better aligns with your body to offer relief from hot flashes, weight gain, and other uncomfortable symptoms. 80% of women who use Winona find relief within just 90 days. So, what are you waiting for? Get started today. Visit buywinona.com today to start your free visit. With free shipping and the ability to pause or cancel at any time, your path to wellness has zero obligations. Use code SPRING24 at buywinona.com for 25% off your first treatment plan. That's BYWINONA.com for 25% off. Winona. Menopause care made easy. Summer is the season of hot temperatures, outdoor adventures, and refreshing water activities. Summer is also the season of rough on your feet, causing dry, cracked heels and toes. Introducing Babyfoot, the original exfoliation foot peel that contains 16 natural extracts formulated to remove dead skin cells in 3 easy steps. Apply the booties, relax for an hour, then wash your feet. In 14 days, you've got baby smooth skin and your feet have never been softer. Letting dead skin cells build up over time is hazardous to your foot health. Our professional-grade DIY products, like our original exfoliation foot peel, our men's foot peel, or our moisturizing mask, are some of the best foot care products on the market, created with your foot health in mind. Pamper yourself with a spa day from the comfort and convenience of your own home with Babyfoot. If you want a chemical-free, easy-to-use exfoliating process from the company that created the original foot peel, it's time to treat yourself to Babyfoot. Go to babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24 and get 20% off your first order with Babyfoot. That's babyfoot.com and use the code SUMMERFEET24.
Hello, and welcome to Too Stupid to Live, a podcast that reviews romance novels $5 and under. I'm your host, Becky Feldman, and I am fanning myself right now because it is getting steamy in here. And it's not just because my AC is off. Just so you know, I'm winking right now. Yes, you guys, it's another episode of Hot as Hell with TSTL, where I chat with a romance author about their career, upcoming books, and where they also answer my questions that usually begin with, "This is a stupid question, but listen, I know myself." Anyway, I had such a lovely time chatting with today's guest, author Liz Crowe. She has such an interesting and personal trajectory to how she became a writer and how she finds inspiration, and you are going to love this interview. So everyone, you might want to grab a fan and fan yourself because it is time to get hot as hell with TSTL. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, Liz, let's get into it. Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome to Too Stupid to Live.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yay! I'm so excited you're here. I finished reading your book Backup Offer and I absolutely loved it.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Yeah. So can you tell me, is that book out yet? Is it out now or
Yes, it is out. It came out gosh, is it August already? It is.
Yes.
So it came out in July, right? July, mid-July. Yeah.
Cool.
So it's out.
Well, congratulations. I really thought it was such a powerful read.
Thank you.
Yeah. But before we get into that book, I want to, talk about your career. How did you start writing romance? How did you get into reading romance? Start from the very beginning. You were born, and then what happened?
Born, and then my mom taught me to read when I was 4 years old using Montessori method for her master's degree.
Whoa.
So what that means is I read really fast and I can't explain it. And I've tried to explain it, but I look at a page and I can take in a lot of words at once. Right. So I don't know. And it's just a method of reading that I devour books. Mm-hmm. As a result, I'm a super atrocious speller. That's sort of the flip side of that. So thankfully, all the computer programs help me, and I've gotten much better. Mm-hmm. So I loved to read, and my mother loves to read, and so there was always books around my house. And so I picked up a lot of books, had my library card, right? And so I picked up a lot of books early on that probably were 100% inappropriate for me, sort of as a middle grade reader. I read The Thornbirds and Flowers in the Attic and all that stuff. Very young, right? And they imprinted on me in a big way.
Sure.
But I also read a lot of, I just read everything, because there was always the classics lying around my house. So I read a lot of that. And I read everything. And then my mom had some romances sitting around, and she was not so much into it, but she would have some, because she would just read anything she could get her hands on. And so I would pick up a few of those. And I don't know that I came into this thinking, oh, I'm going to write romance novels. Because I never thought of myself as an author. I was just a reader. I never, honestly, the thought was I could never do that. I could never do what they do. I mean, I'm just in awe of it, and I would the books would stack up or, whatever. I mean, my husband likes to tell me, you devour books so fast. Thank God for e-readers, right? So that's, so about 2008, right? So I've been all over the world, and I always use this as my backdrop. These are the countries I've lived in.
It's so cool.
Yeah. So my mom made these, and we've lived in a few places in the U.S. and then in 3 different countries. And so, I was an expat trailing spouse with little kids. So I was busy, but I had a lot of time to read. And I tried to read about every culture that I was in or books from those cultures. When I was in England, because my degree's in British literature, and I was in hog heaven. I mean, you just thought right. I mean, Turkey was amazing for history, but I managed to make friends with a woman who was a mum of one of my daughter's schoolmates. She taught history at a public school, like a middle school. So she took me on all the field trips, right? So I got to get into all these places. Anyway, that's an aside. Lived overseas, we came back, picked up my real estate license again. And then I worked my tail off selling real estate, basically to pay for 3 college degrees, which I did. That was the goal. And then am going to hear my dog? She's going to bark. Sorry.
Oh, fine. Oh, but these, everyone's pets and cats always make cameos. It is all good.
Someone's coming by, and she's got to protect the world here.
I get it. She has a job. Yeah.
So in 2008, I was approached by a couple of guys who wanted to open a brewery and needed my help because I knew everybody in town, really. So I sold them all real estate, and I was on, PTOs and raised money for, the kids' high school athletics and all kind of stuff. So I did that. And for about that time, this all kind of came together in a weird way, unexpectedly. So I was helping them do that and still selling a little real estate. And my husband decided that, with good reason, that it was time to liven things up in our lives, in our romantic life, right? We've been married a long time. We have 3 kids. We were busy. So he took it upon himself to order a whole bunch of erotic romance novels and have them delivered to the house. I read romance, right? But it's not that I don't consider it. I just didn't really read a whole lot of it. I read a lot of Harlequins and kind of like, I don't want to call it sweet, but not steamy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like about it. I never thought about it.
Yeah. I don't say clean though, but it's just sweet.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. So I opened this box from Amazon, and all these books are in here, and I'm just like, what am I supposed to? So he's like, just read them, just see what you think, right? So they have the desired effect, let's say, and
sure.
Opened my eyes to a lot of things, including the fact that books that left the sex on the page can be very compelling. And also, not everybody did it very well, right? So I loved that. And I just loved learning about that whole, it was new to me. I'm not going to lie. I was pleasantly thrilled. And of course, once you dive into it, boy, you can go deep, right? All kinds of things down in there, right? Getting in there, learning it all. And so I did. I just jumped in, went both feet, jumped right in, found everything I could, read everything I could, discovered, the genres I didn't care for much, with a few exceptions, which is just weird and, not very, it's some things I'm like, I don't read paranormal except for this one,
We all have those. Right.
So I was like, this is so cool. I want to write one of these. And I kept saying that and kept saying that. And finally, again, like blaming him, he's like, then shut up and write one already, you know? So I did. And it was terrible. It was just god awful, right? And so then I wrote another one, and then I wrote another one. And then I got one published that we can all be thankful that is no longer in the universe, because it was still bad. But it started me thinking about it. It just started me thinking about it. And this was in 2008, 2009. And I got my first book published 2010-ish, late 2010. And then I found a publisher for a series. I'm like, ooh, series, I'm going to do that. You know, because I love those. I love secondary characters and then getting them their own novel. So I dove into that, which is where Backup Offer came from. Circling back to that, my very first series that was ever published was the Stewart Realty series. It had a publisher. I got the rights back when they folded. I now publish it. I co-publish it. It's indie published, basically. I just have a publishing partner who helps me defray some of the costs of stuff. And it has worked out really well to re-release it like that. And I wasn't going to finish it. I was going to leave it where it was with the book that is a really long book. That was the last book, but I just felt like these two characters needed some full circle happiness.
Yeah.
And I needed to finish the series on a better note than the way I left it.
Yeah.
And as we write, I've discovered this as I've gone back through, because I'm going back way into my files of stuff that I've written. And I'm like, wow, was I in a weird place in my head when I wrote that, or what? So many things were happening to me. I was successfully starting this brewery, and then it was great, and then it was exciting, and it was awesome. And then my kids are going through all these graduating high schools and all the craziness, and then things fell apart at the brewery. It didn't work out. And then I went, and that sort of was reflected in my writing. So all the things that happened to me as an adult in a fairly compressed period of time, but basically since 2008. So that's how I came to it. I came to it late in my life, and I'm glad to have found it.
Yeah. Well, there's no timeline, I'm trying to tell myself. It's so interesting you say that, because, reading about you and reading this book, I was like, oh, it feels like there's just met you, but I was like, there's so much of herself in all of her books and all of her ideas, like not only, because of the travel and the realty series and breweries, but also it's interesting you say that you also brought things from your own personal life into the stories as well, which is very poignant. Yeah.
Yes, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I had a family member die of alcoholism. And so I saw that. Yeah. I saw the struggle. I watched it. It was not my blood family member, but it was my husband's brother. And it was terrible because he felt guilty, like he should have done things, and we learned a lot about what we could not have done, Yeah. To this day, he still blames himself. And I keep telling him, you can't. He tried and it didn't work. Right. So when Brandis became a character in the previous novel, Good Faith, which is not really a romance because there's a lot of stories going on and there's a lot of things happening to a lot of people, more just kind of a family saga, but I thought was going to be the end of the series. So I introduced a second generation, right? So all the kids, right? And Brandis just got the worst of both parents, right? Yeah. Jack and Sarah are the origin couple, if you will, the sort of trilogy of the beginning. Floor Time is 100% free right now, and I love it when people just grab that and kind of dive in afterwards. But, they weren't perfect people. And I do that. I create characters that some readers find hard to care about or even like. Yeah. And I know that's what I do because I like reading that. I like reading a book that is going to pull me into someone who's compelling in a way that's not immediately obvious. They're not perfect. Or they have some character flaw or something. And so I just, Brandis became this young man who grew up, who had everything. He was smart. His parents had money. He was a star athlete, and something in him would not let him accept that. And I was so happy to be able to allow him to recover. But I tried really hard to make it clear that you always have alcoholism. You never put it behind you. It's just something you live with and deal with every single day.
Yeah, I really loved his character because I felt like, in a nutshell, it felt like the book wasn't afraid to go there when it talks about like kind of the really like kind of, I don't want to say, kind of more realistic, depressing, tragic elements of addiction. Like you did talk about him having a sex addiction and, or, you know, having sex, being unfaithful as part of his suffering. And I feel like with romance, I mean, this is just me, I'm just a reader. I feel like that is such a tricky element to go with, you know, of like, oh, there was betrayal. And I feel like I've never read that before.
Right. There was. And that's why I don't mark it, and I don't even refer to the book before this one, Good Faith, as romance, because it's not.
Yeah.
It's tough. And I was in a tough place when I wrote it, but I'm super proud of it. It's a book that I wish it could find some traction somewhere. It's not necessarily going to be in the romance community, I don't think. But up until that point, every book of that series is a romance. It's got, you know, I keep it on the level, you know, as much as I can. Except I do kill somebody, so that's bad.
Well, listen.
And he was a beloved character, but man, that just happened. That just popped into my head, and I'm like, okay, this is how this is going to happen, and it's my right to do it because I wrote this book. So,
yeah. It's so funny you say that because like I feel like I talk with a lot of authors who are like, I really like this character, and I wanted to kill him, but I wasn't sure. And then the editor was like, no, you got to kill the character. And it's like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, you got to be tragic. You got to get there.
Right. And so if you go through, if you look at my Amazon page or whatever, and you see the reviews that I have, a lot of it is, so realistic and so gritty and so, you know, really well written, but almost too gritty for me, you know, and I get that. A lot of my books are that way. I have a whole series. I mean, I have another series that has a character in it who is an addict. And again, I'm just writing what I know. You know, I'm writing about what I understand it's like loving someone like that, you know, or trying to. So what I did recently, I guess since I stopped writing for about 2 years. I lost my love of it. I was getting a lot of grief from, quite honestly, a couple of like blogger types who took it upon, decided they didn't like me and it was ugly. So I backed away from the whole thing. And I just, I'm like, all right, I don't need this. I can't do this. It's not helping me any. And it was all kind of culminating at some years, you know, the brewery thing fell apart, and then that whole thing happened, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. So I took a break and came back to it by co-writing a book with someone I really respect, Desiree Holt, and she kind of got me back into it. And I'm forever grateful because that book was a lot of fun to write. And since we wrote that book together off and on, it took us a while because we were, you know, she was busy and I was busy with my life, you know, working and stuff. And since then, and since we've moved, I've done nothing but, I feel like, make a point to keep the tough stuff out of my books as much as possible. And even backup offer, you know, I feel like, I deal with the fact that he has put it behind him to a certain extent and wants redemption. And that was, you know, the redemption arc piece of it was, to me, super positive, you know, and I couldn't wait to write the ending of that book. I'm like, I cannot wait for these people to be happy, you know? So, and I've written a lot of books since then. I'm one of these marathon writers. I won't write for maybe a month, but then I will have a project that I know I need to work on, like I'm doing right now. And I will sit down and just write that sucker in a matter of weeks, usually. Just keep going until it's done, right? So this year, and when I say this year, it's all relative, right? So 2020 is whatever it was, but we moved in the middle of it. We moved from Michigan to Central Illinois. And since moving here last June, I've written that book. I wrote that book, Backup Offer, and then I wrote 2 books for a series I have about a fictional women's sports station in Detroit called the Detroit Sports Network, which is super fun. So I got 2 of those. And then I wrote a 3rd one that's coming out in October for that series. And then I picked up a new publisher for a chick lit book that I've got coming out that I completely revised for them. So I feel like I got my mojo back a little bit, and I'm not letting myself go there anymore, except for when I had to, because Backup Offer had to deal with his old self. That had to happen. But I tried to keep it positive, like getting him a dog and all these things. And I made it funny, it made it light, it made him a new person, and then all the people around her, her brother and her friend and everybody who were like saying, okay, he's better now, and she's like, wait a minute, you guys were the people who were telling me to get away from him. So what, so she also had to come to it in her own head. And that was very gratifying. So I just feel like a lot of the things I'm writing right now are just not that real, and when I say that, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, I'm keeping it light. I'm keeping it much happier. And it's a different way of thinking about it, without a doubt, because I always felt like I had to go dark, and I did, and fairly successfully, but now I'm like, okay, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Writing a rom-com was super fun, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, it sounds like it was fun. What I liked about Backup Offer is that it was a rom-com. It was hella hot. And also the way it treated addiction like a disease and not a personality, which I think it's like that book, even though you were like, oh, let's make it light, but it also made this point of like, addiction is just a disease. It doesn't, like, this is someone who's suffering with a disease, and I had suffered with a disease. And I think that like was so powerful, even though you were trying to make a light rom-com.
No, I know. No, and I wasn't, and then that's a different book. We're talking about a different book. I have a rom-com
okay.
in December. I wasn't thinking rom-com, but I was definitely thinking lighten it up.
Yeah.
I feel like that it worked. I let them come back around to each other with the amount of angst that you would expect in a second chance romance, right? Because that's just part of it. But also with gladness, when they finally are just like, okay, this is it, So
yeah. I have a question about working with Desiree Holt. I have never asked an author this before when they co-write a novel. What is that like? I've never like what is that? Are you guys like sitting next to each other? Like I've never. I know that sounds like the dumbest question in the world, but it just came to me.
No, it was cool. It was my idea. We go back a ways. One of my very first publishers was hers, Decadent Publishing, which is still around, and she's always been super supportive and eager to answer questions and whatever. And somehow we got into a conversation online somehow about when we were with Decadent. And then we discovered that I was in Ann Arbor. She was a U of M alum. She was a huge fan of sports and all these things. So she came to visit a couple of times, and we've got some pictures of us just because she would come to a football game, So, and we just developed, and then I wrote when Kindle Worlds was a thing, I wrote into 2 of hers, just trying to always, as authors, we're always trying to find another angle, some other way to find new readers. So I did that, and that was cool. And, we talked a lot about that. And then I was part of a group that threw a huge fundraiser at Pioneer High School, which is literally right across the street from the Big House, Michigan Stadium. And so John Harbaugh, who coaches for the Baltimore Ravens, graduated from Pioneer High, and he played football there. His brother Jim, who is the now coach at U of M, went there, played football there, but then when they moved to California for his father's coaching career. So we were, my son played football, my daughter played soccer, so I was on the athletic committee or whatever, and I know how to raise money. So I worked with an ex-athletic director from the school, and we threw a giant fundraiser And it was huge, massive. I handled the media. I did all these things. It was great. We raised $50,000, you know? And I got a football. We had commemorative footballs made, the date, you know, their names, and then they signed them all, right? The brothers. So I got her one. I'm like, she's going to love this. It's going to be great. So I got her one, didn't tell her, put it in the mail, and she opened it up and was like, what? Right. So yeah, that was just a thing I wanted to do. She was my friend. And I know she's written some sports romance in the past. She mostly writes romantic suspense now, which I don't write. But I had an idea. I'm like, let's do something together. Let's just, you know, and a lot of it is, and she gets it. She's savvy, you know, and I'm like, part of this is me trying to find your readers, but you can also find my readers because that's just what we have to do as authors.
Right.
So there was an element of marketing to it. But also I just thought it would be cool, you know, and so we bounced around ideas. We were going to write a romantic suspense that was sports based. You know, that was how it started. And we just kept trying, and we were, you know, talking, and we didn't put any pressure on each other. You know, we're like, when you have time, look at this idea, right? Both of us. So we finally came around to what we ended up with, which is not a suspense, but about a man who had an addiction. He had a gambling addiction, which cost him his football career. And then he comes home to coach for his alma mater, which is kind of fallen on hard times. And then the woman is a sports reporter who's going to do a documentary about him. So it was a really cool setup. And we just bounced. We chose, though, and I told her this. I said, what we need to do, in my opinion, is we need to choose a point of view. You pick one, I'll pick one. And stick with it. So I wrote the male point of view.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was super fun. I like doing that. I do. I love, I don't know, dudes I think are fascinating in ways that only a writer would say this, right? And so I wanted, so I'm like, I'll do him. I would really like to. So she's like, fine, I'll do her, right? So that's how we did it. And we back and forthed it. It took, I mean, it's the longest it's ever taken me to write a book, but we fitted in around everything else, and we had the finished book after about a year, I think. Cool. Maybe a little less. And then we tried to shop it around. You know, she's got some connections, and no one would really bite. And then we were just going to indie publish it. And then one of her smaller publishers, Wild Rose Press, who I'd never worked with before, picked it up. So, which is cool, because I've placed a few books with them. But, you know, I know of authors who have not had a good experience trying to write with each other. And I can imagine that could be the case. You know, there are some people who just won't listen to what you say, or they won't, but we listen to each other, you know? And we said, you know, and we respected the boundary of you write hers, I write his. Okay. In a back and forth way. And that worked, I would say 80% of the time. And then the other times I would go back and read, and I'd be like, no, you can't, because he didn't say that, you know? So we would have to kind of go back and keep each other honest about it, you know? And she kept wanting to turn him into this, something that he wasn't. Right. And I'm like, look, this is like, he's like the ultimate cinnamon roll. Okay. He's even really not that crusty on the outside, except when he's dealing with his kids, when he's dealing as a coach, right? When he's dealing with women, he's total like beta male, you know? So let's let him be that, you know? But was a persona separate from him as a professional football player and as a coach and all these things. So that was his dichotomy, if you will, you know? So, but then I would want the heroine to be a certain way, and Desiree's like, no, that's not her. She's not going to say that. And I'm like, fine, you know? So we, you know, respecting each other in that way, and then promoting it together, you know, it helped. I mean, I think that right now, sales are weirdly flat across the board. There's so many options. So many people are writing so many great books, and it's hard to make a noise or whatever. But, you know, I know I picked up a few new readers just by being able to promote with her. And that helped. That's really
great. So like, in addition to like making sure that the two characters' stories like coincide, when you were like putting everything together and like polishing it all, like, were you like, oh, this needs to sound like one writer's voice, or am I making sense? Or is it like, oh, this is my chapter, this is your chapter, like it's two different voices?
No, because We have a similar style.
Oh,
think.
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Generally
Yeah.
speaking, I think we have a similar style, enough so that it worked.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by the time it was in the hands of editing at the publisher, she actually had to shift some chapters around.
Got it.
Then she actually made it less black and white, like less one chapter him, one chapter her. She had us blend a few chapters, keeping the points of view separate, which I think helped.
Yeah. You bring so much up in terms of like marketing and getting new readers, really acknowledging that it feels like it's like 50% of the writing process or more.
You know what? Here's my story about that. I took a shower, got pretty, so I could be pretty on the
You look
screen.
gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Thanks. And I'm like, okay, well now I got to do some TikTok videos because I got makeup on. Then I'm like, I don't want to, but I will.
Sure.
Because yes, I would say right now it's almost 60-40. 60% promoting yourself. I'm trying to get a foothold in using TikTok and stuff. And my youngest has helped me with that a little bit. I went over, she's in vet school, and her friends, she got a cool group of friends, and they all think I'm awesome because I write romance books or whatever,
Cool.
So I went over and took them all out to dinner back in June. I'm like, I'm here for the weekend, and you guys are going to make some TikTok videos for me.
Nice.
So they did, and they've gotten some good hits, and I still have some video. I'm actually going to use one of them today because her boyfriend, he's a cutie, and so he's like, well, let me be in one, right? So I'm like, yeah, okay, so hold this book, one of my Mutual Release, which is one of the hottest books in the Stewart Realty series. Very, very intense BDSM and stuff. And so I had him hold it, right? So I just took some video of him like turning the pages and being like, So I'm like, I'll use one of those today, I think, to make something. But it's never ending. It's never ending. And I get it. It's the same for any artist, right? If you're a TV star, you're only allowed to skip it if you're at a certain level, like, right? I mean, not if you're at the Janet Ivanovich level or Nora Roberts level or Stephen King level, then you don't have to, right?
Right. Yeah. But
everybody else, even the next ones down that you might think wouldn't have to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll do it. It's fine. I've gone through a lot of stages as an author being, I had an agent for a hot second. That didn't work out. I wouldn't mind having another one, but I don't know. Now, honestly, I am about to be 100% indie in next year. I'm like, I'm with the publisher route, and the publishers I have are fine. And it helps me because they do the editing and they do the covers. But, lately I feel like the editing, I could pay for that now, and I can do the cover. Covers aren't quite as expensive as they used to be, so I'm feeling like it's less about finding another publisher or finding an agent or whatever, and more about just running my own business with it.
Sure.
I've done nothing but marketing, public relations, social media, fundraising, all that my whole career. So if I put the full force of that on me, maybe that'll be it, right? Because I watch people. One of my favorite authors right now is Kennedy Ryan.
Oh yeah.
I love her books. Oh my God! So her books are very much what I love to read because they are just angst soaked, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, she has reviews who are like, hey, you can't call this a romance because blah, blah, blah happened. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm reading that. So, and I've read everything she's ever written. And I love it. I love that style. And that's what I like to write as well. So lots of my books are very much along those lines. And she's an indie, and you just keep at it. You keep at it. You might, if I get to a point, I would love to hire, there's some PR companies who are actually doing good work, but they're also expensive, so I might get to that point. But I feel like I've given up on the whole, like, the only way I can ever be good at this is if I have an agent.
Yeah.
I had one, and it wasn't good.
Right. Yeah.
And it's hard. That whole process it's a full-time job to be on serious querying submission. It is. You can't do anything else. And I've done it. So that said, I am writing a thriller right now, my very first, because I love domestic thrillers. I love books like Gone Girl and Woman in the Window and all those super twisty. I love a unreliable narrator. Oh man, give me that all day long. Thrillers, So I have a guy I'm working with, a manuscript developer who's a professional. He's an editor, and he has taught me a whole new way to think about writing. He's made me, I had a whole book. I had a 120,000 word book that I was querying around and getting rejected. I mean, 50 almost rejections on this thing, right? So I reached out to him. We worked together on something else. And then I said, all right, I want you to read this. Obviously I'm going to pay you for your time. I don't expect freebies. He's like, okay, fine. So he read it. He goes, so this is basically a kind of a romantic suspense, but you've got too many things going on. He goes, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to delete that whole thing. Make it gone. I'm like, no. But then he said, now I want you to go read these books, watch these movies or TV shows, think about them in terms of structure, and then we're going to make an outline. I'm like, oh, no, I don't outline. I feel like Bill Murray in the original Space Jam. I don't defense, No. He goes, oh, yeah, you're going to outline or you're not going to do this because you cannot pants your way through a thriller. You have to know every single stage, including the ending, the entire time. And he goes, and I know you don't do that, do you? I'm like, no, I don't. I know the basics, and then I get to the ending in my own way.
Yes, right. Yeah.
You're not going to wander around and find the ending. So we've been working on this since like February. So I rewrote the chapter 1 finally. And he said, all right, now write the last chapter. Don't write anything in the middle. I'm like, okay, because I already know what happens. So I'm doing that. Right, man, has that been, if nothing else, an amazing creative experience.
Yeah.
If nothing comes of it, right?
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's helpful for people who like want to write thrillers or any sort of like mystery of like writing the end, writing the beginning. Like that sounds like invigorating. Like I would love to, like, I'm like, oh, I should do that.
Yeah, I know. And I don't know that I would ever do it again, except, I was going to write this one thing and I'm like, oh no, I have to outline this. Whoa, what? Who said that? Right. So I made a loose outline because I'm writing a sequel to the rom-com that's coming out in September. So I'm like, oh, so now I have a little bitty outline for it. I'm like, okay, you changed me completely, probably for the better. But yeah, I am very grateful for that experience. It's been frustrating. Because I'll stare at that outline and I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to know yet. I want to get in and I want to know these people. He's like, no, you don't need to know them that well. You don't need these elaborate backstories. So that's
cool.
That has been part of my this year learning experience.
Yeah. So going back to marketing yourself, it seems like, you write romance, but you also write, different genres. How does that affect the way that you kind of market yourself and promote your work? Do you like run into any challenges with that of like, oh, this is a romance, but this is not, like, do you know what I mean?
No, because so far, the only thing that I've written that's not really a romance is that one book as part of Stewart Realty. Everything else in my backlist is romance of some kind or another.
Got it.
So far that's not been an issue. Once I get this book written, it remains to be seen. He's been, and I'm like, what do you think we should do with it? He's like, let's write it first and then we'll figure that out.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he has I know that he has some well-connected people who might read it. He goes, but let's get to that point.
Yeah.
And so I have a feeling that would be a pseudonym. Like I might, if that comes out,
it would
of course. I'd be like Nora Roberts and J.D. Robb.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God. That was the dumbest question I ever asked. Everyone has pseudonyms. I'm like, how do you do it? Yeah.
But as for marketing, because here's an interesting anecdote. I've been talking to a few people. I'm, looking for some PA help or some VA help. And what I'm looking for is connections. And basically what Kelly provided for you and me, right?
Mm-hmm,
Kelly's
yeah.
helping me a little bit. And, she's not officially my PA. She's just helping me make some connections with people.
Right.
Because once I get talking, people are like, oh, that was cool.
Mm-hmm,
She can talk. I'm like, yeah, I can talk. So I've been talking to people about that. And I had someone, when they come to me and say, well, I would work with you. I said, okay, well, what's one piece of advice you would give me right now? Just look at all my stuff. And I'm on every flipping platform. One thing I do know, someone said to me that I am considering is like, you're on too many. You're trying too many things. Pick 2 or even 3, but I love Twitter. I'm addicted to Twitter. So I'm not quitting that. And, I'm like, I almost feel like I could quit Facebook, except you have to have a page and all this stuff. Anyway, but one person said to me something that I just didn't agree with. But then I started watching some other people, what they're doing, and I see that this is advice that's going out there. She looked at my Instagram page, where you see everything, right? You can go when you choose the profile and you can see all the stuff. Because, well, you need to be more organized and it needs to have a theme. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, well, you're talking too much about things that aren't your books. I'm like, well, I'm going to disagree with you right there, because I think that's boring. And I think I have lived a life that's interesting enough that I can talk about the beer and I can talk about the cocktails, because I also was writing for a magazine about booze. I talk about my kids. I talk about soccer. I talk about all the things. And so, but it was interesting to me that she would say that. And she's young. She's, let's just say, younger than me by a lot. And so I feel like she's giving authors this advice because that's kind of, somehow they think that that's effective. And I completely disagree. I would not be interested in an author who did nothing but put pictures of her book covers or quotes from her book or whatever on her Instagram feed. I want to know this person. But that's just me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just.
No, I'm with you on that. Like, I want to know. Like, I feel like seeing someone's face and seeing them in a cool place, like, that catches my eye. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, books are great. Anything's great. But if it's different, yeah, absolutely. I think I'm with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, but it made me think about it. I'm like, ooh, am I doing it wrong? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to change. One thing I'm adding, instead of subtracting, like I probably should, I'm adding something. And I'm super excited about it. I'm adding Substack.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm adding a newsletter. I have a newsletter that just promotes me, and I just, it's irregular. Like I only send it out when I have something to promote, really.
Right.
And I've curated it to the point where it's got a good, open rate, and people kind of expect to get something whenever I send them to, but I'm going to start a Substack newsletter because I write a lot of reviews. And I've lately been doing more of that because I read really fast. So I'm like, well, I can do this, So I got one of my favorite authors in the universe I requested an arc of one of his books and I got it. I'm like, oh my God, this is a sign that I need to do something, right? More than just write a review. So I've been toying around and I've been kind of playing around with, is it Substack? Is it Patreon? What is it? What can I use that will help me stand out? And I want to provide something different for people. Like they would trust me to write a review for them or, come to me, whatever. So I just set it up and I'm not really going to start it until probably October. But Liz on Blast, it's called.
Ooh.
And it's going to be reviews of stuff, books, beer. I mean, I'm one of those, I can do that. Bars, TV shows, it's just going to be kind of my opinion about stuff, but well written, hopefully. And I have a whole lot of content already because I wrote for a magazine. It was free. I didn't get paid, so they don't own the content. And I told them, I said, I can't do both of these things. I need to be able to write about, and I just write about, I called it Booze 101. So like I wrote a whole thing about what is champagne and what are these words? What does it mean? Or rosé wine or Belgian beer or whatever. So I'm going to repurpose some of my content.
Great. You have it. Yeah. Use it.
For that. And then also I'm going to weave in reviews of books.
Cool.
So I'm kind of stacking up a few, holding back and not posting them yet because I'm going to post them first on that. So I'm going to try that. And I probably should let something else go. but I don't know what.
It's so funny because this actually leads me to my next series of questions. I enjoy reading romance with a glass of wine. And so I was like, I wonder if I gave her a trope, what's the best beer or drink to enjoy while reading that
bring that. Yeah.
Okay, I have a list. All right. Forced proximity. Two people who don't like each other are forced to be together. What's the best drink for that?
A traditional West Coast IPA.
Okay.
IPA is an India Pale Ale, and there's a lot of different ones now. Not the New England style. The New England style is fruity and kind of frothy and looks like juice because of the way they work it. No, I'm talking a traditional that's bitter.
Ooh,
okay.
Yeah.
Now it's supposed to be. That's the perfect. And I am a hophead, and the way they make them bitter is a certain kinds of hops added at certain points during the brew. Sometimes even after fermentation, things get dry hopped to add for aroma, because the aroma that it's astringent, right? And it is perfect for that.
Yeah. Okay. What about a Regency era historical romance?
Oh gosh. And this is one of and I will cop to this. I don't read these.
I don't, not as much either. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not, but I do respect a lot of people who are doing some, and there's a couple of them that I'm thinking about picking up just so I can say I've read these certain authors. You know? Dry martini.
Ooh, yeah.
Not a vodka martini, a real martini, which is made from gin.
Okay. A gin martini. I didn't know that. Yeah.
So
okay.
That's what a martini is. When you order martini, now you can say to the bartender, don't ask me for vodka because it's gin.
Okay. And
so
is it
a dry one, which means normally it's a small amount of vermouth and a whole lot amount of gin. If you balance it out a little bit more, you're going to get drier with an olive.
Okay. Oh, that sounds so good right now. It's 10 a.m. where I am, and I'm like, yes, nice. I need to. Okay. What about like a paranormal romance?
An Italian wine. It's called an Amarone.
Okay.
I love Italian wines. Italian wines, red wines, tend toward the bolder and richer and more complex. Like they don't really grow Pinot Noir grapes there. Everything about Italian reds is, I don't want to say bloody, but that's what I'm thinking. All right.
No,
so
me too, because vampires. Yeah.
What's different about it is the grapes are what are called raisinated. So they dry them out before they're used. And that creates the most amazing, rich, almost chew it kind of flavor. And that is hands down my favorite kind of wine. They're not cheap either. So these are going to have to be rich vampires or whatever.
Oh yeah. But they've been around. They know investment skills. Like what vampire is like, I can't find a job. Like they're fine.
Right? It's family money. I don't know. They've been around.
Yeah. They know. They know the market.
Yeah, no, they're going to pour that red wine, and it's going to be leggy. You know, it's going to be almost thick. Not thick in a bad way, but oh yeah, that's definitely your paranormal romance drink.
And then finally, what about a sci-fi drink? Like you're in space and there's sex in space, perhaps with aliens, what have you, but it's sci-fi.
Let me think about this one a second.
Yeah. Oh, take your time.
Something that would have to be kind of self-contained.
Okay.
Because, gravity. Like almost in a juice box kind of a situation.
Oh,
like
I love a juice box.
Puncture it and it would be, So I would say a seltzer.
Ooh. Like a nice, refreshing seltzer. Because you don't want it to be like too heavy if you're going to like fight aliens.
And it needs to be a little bit refreshing. Seltzers are big right now, obviously, but also the way it would be delivered, I can picture it in like essentially a pouch, almost like a Capri Sun pouch, right?
Yeah.
Poke it with a straw. Yep. That.
Yeah. That's the ultimate. That sounds like a beach read and a space read, and you could do both. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I did a whole review of because the other option would be I had a Moscow Mule, which is a mixed drink with vodka and ginger beer, basically, and lemonade, in a can.
Oh, I love those.
In a can are a thing. I wrote a review. I tasted a bunch of them with some friends, and we just kind of reacted to them. Also, I can picture that, like maybe even a Moscow Mule in a can or in a Capri Sun package.
Yeah. I love Moscow Mules in cans. Like over the summer, like I used to go to, when things were a thing, Palm Springs, and we would go to this one hotel, and when you check in, they would give you a Moscow Mule in a can. And it was just always like,
right.
Vacation starting.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had I think my best memory of that is we were in, and sounds weird, but when we lived in Japan, we tried to, whenever we lived, we tried to visit nearby places that we would normally not go because it's too far. Yeah. So from Japan to fly to Thailand was easy, right?
Right.
Thailand. And I had literally an infant or almost toddler and little kids, dragging. We went with another family who had 2 little boys, and we lucked into this amazing resort kind of thing. It was like what you would imagine a dream vacation to be. I mean, it was just perfect at every level. I remember walking into the basically little house we had, and there were people there with little frothy island drinks, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is it right here, right? So I down on them, and then didn't care that the kids were running around screaming.
They're fun. Thailand seems like a beautiful. I've always wanted to go. Like, it looks picture perfect.
Gorgeous. It is. The scary part is the remember when they had the tsunami?
Yeah.
That was awful. And they had that whole movie about it, which was terrifying. Our hotel was right there. That beach, we were on that beach.
Whoa.
Yeah. And I just was like, wow, that's scary.
Yeah.
I want to go back to that part of the world, though, when it's safe to do it again. I go to Vietnam. I hear that Vietnam also has beautiful resorts, and I would very much that's on my bucket list, without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, it seems like I feel like I mentioned this, but I feel like you bring so much of your own life, whether it's hobbies or your experiences, into your books. I have one final question. Yeah. So you first started writing romance. Your husband said, "Why don't you try it?" How has he reacted to you now? Years later, you've written all these books. They're so fun and successful.
He loves it, actually. He is always about helping me find inspiration, ideas. Like, if anything, he's fed me a ton of ideas.
Yeah.
Let's see, what were we talking about recently? We're going to write a book together.
That's awesome.
I finally said, look, you can't just throw this at me. Like, I think the one he had the most effect on, though, I will say, is my Love Brothers series, which is, I set it in Kentucky, which is where we're from. And, I gave everyone kind of almost a blue collar job. And that series, I'm going to be adding to that in 2022. And I'm really excited.
Awesome.
One of my
Very
favorite
cool.
series. Anyway, and he gave me a ton of that. Like, and I said, I want brothers, I want family, I want sibling issues and all these things. And I said, I'll never forget this. I said, okay, so on Sunday, they're all going to go to church, right? And I'm not making a big deal about going to church. It's just what you did. It's what I did. And it's not a big deal. It's not a religious thing. It's just what you did because your mama said you had to put on a suit and go to church.
Right.
So they all do this, even as grown men, right? One of them is a high school teacher, one runs the family brewery, and one runs a garage. And they go to church, right? And afterwards they have lunch. And then they go, and I'm like, they'll play a football game or something. He looked at me, he goes, "You are setting this in Kentucky, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Basketball game?" I'm like, "Oh, right." Yeah. Right? So a lot of that series is about what those brothers work out between them on an outdoor basketball court. So that all came from him. So his thing now is, and he's, and he gets it. Like, at first he's like, "Why aren't you making $1 million like so-and-so?" And I'm like, well, this is what so-and-so had, right?
Yeah.
And now he's more about just encouraging me. He's like, don't give up. You love it. Don't stop doing it. You know, it makes you happy, you know, all that. So he's been really supportive of that part. And then he finally gave me this idea. He's in automotive, right? So he's worked for Ford is why we were all around the world. And he's a quality and also a launch specialist. So when a new car is being launched. And so the reason we're in Central Illinois now is that he made the move to electric vehicles. So he was working for a company that's making an electric truck. And now we're moving again.
Oh boy.
Yeah, because, and it's fine, you know, I'm fine with it. But we're moving to South Carolina, and I'm really excited about getting a little closer to Kentucky. And I actually like South Carolina.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
it is. It's beautiful. We're going to be in Greenville, which is a great city. We've been a couple times to visit. It's vibrant, lots of things happening. Close enough, you know, it's close to BMW and all that stuff. So he's working for a bus company, a company that all they make are 100% electric buses.
Cool. Very
cool.
cool.
So we talked a lot about sort of Formula One. Like he had me watch the Netflix show about F1. It's fascinating, you know,
okay. I'll have to check it out.
Driving cars and and we watched all the movies. I love, you know, the movies about like Niki Lauda and all of that. So he worked for Ferrari for a hot second, which was cool. So cars are his thing, you know? And so he's like, let's do something about women and F1 and, you know, I don't know, maybe even E1, which is the electronic version of that. So we're going to do that.
Oh, that's badass. Oh, I'm so excited to read that.
Yeah. So we're going to put both of our names on it, you know, because I said, you're going to do more. You're going to do more than just tell me details about how these cars work. You're going to actually plot this with me.
Absolutely. Because, I feel like in the world, like the setting can also inform so much of what the characters do, you know? So that's great. Yeah. Well, I feel weird. I was like, the last question was like, how does your husband feel? I didn't mean it in a sexist way. I'm just, as a reader, I'm happy that you listen to him.
It's just, and the way I write, I'm just like, I shut it down. I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't ask me questions. You know, I'm busy. And so now, and I did that a fair bit when my kids were around, and they got to where they were like, all right, order pizza because mom's writing, you know?
Yeah. Cool.
But I didn't do it all the time. I would take, like I said, I'll go weeks or a month or more and not write a word, you know, I'll focus on other things or whatever. But now that I'm empty nesting, I've got time on my hand.
Sure.
So, you know, I do a lot more of it. And then he's just, you know, he's encouraging it. He's very, and there've been moments when he's like, you're trying too hard. You're never going to be what you think you're going to be. You should just stop because it's frustrating you.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
So it's not always been a point of happiness, but now I think we've come to a place where we understand each other, and he understands what I need out of this. I understand what I need out of this, and I'm let go of the fact that I'm never going to be E.L. James or whoever, you know, because that was just a set of circumstances that she was able to work with, and I'm not probably going to be in that point. That doesn't mean my books are any less,
of course,
legit.
Oh my gosh,
so,
and
I
think,
hard, though. You know, it's hard to kind of bump up against that. Not her specifically, but just all the people who are constantly out there and are successful. And you're like, oh, I'm never going to get there because I don't have an agent and I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm like, okay, I am now to a place where I'm like, I don't care. I'm just going to write it and I'm going to promote it the way I know how. And we're just going to see how that works out.
Yeah. I think what's so inspiring is that you own your process, you know, like it's nice to like hear and like inspiring. I think for a lot of people who are like, oh, I should be like this, I should be like that. But you're like, no, I do it this way. I'm happy with it this way. I'm just going to get to work, you know? And I think like just being able to get to work is so hard in itself. So
it is. And, you know, I've got some stuff ready to go for 2022. I've got a soccer series that I got back from a publisher, and I'm like, well, I should try to find a publisher for these. I'm like, no, I'm going to pay for new covers. I'm going to run them through another proofreader. I might change a couple of things, but then I'm going to just do it myself because I know how to do it. And now the systems are in place, like the Draft to Digital or whatever you use.
Yeah.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
that's so great, and I'm so excited for what you're going to do next. And thank you so much for writing a great book and
Hey, I'm
being
so glad
here
you liked
today.
it.
I
Yeah.
loved it. Yeah. It brought I always have books that I call beaches tears where I cry along the line of the movie Beaches. And so
Right.
this gave me beaches tears.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
It's a happy kind. You're like,
Yeah, it's a happy kind of tear where you're just like you're rooting. You're like, if this doesn't work out, my heart is gonna fall out of its chest. It did. I mean, I know everything has a happily ever after, but but it's like my heart. Don't let it fall out of my chest. It didn't.
right.
And
Good.
and
Well, I'm so
thank you.
glad. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, do you want to say your website, your Twitter account, that we can follow you?
Oh, sure. I'm on everything, and I'm pretty
Mm-hmm.
much Liz Crowe author on Twitter and Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Author Liz Crowe on Facebook. There's a page. I have a chat group that's a
Cool.
lot of fun on Facebook that is easy to join. And I am on TikTok. Liz Crowe Writes, I think,
Cool.
is what I am on TikTok. And I'll have the Substack thing coming out, and then I just had my website redone, and I love it. And
Yay.
it's lizcrowe.com.
Very
Super
cool.
Yeah.
Well, Liz Crowe, thank you so much for being here. Too Stupid to Live is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. For more podcasts you'll love, visit frolic.media/podcasts. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great rest of your day.